Windows Server Core has the benefits of having lower system resource requirements and a reduced footprint, resulting in a heightened security posture, but it is not suitable for all use cases or services. However, it is very capable as a database server in standalone and domain environments. In this video, we'll cover installing Microsoft SQL Server 2022 on a standalone, non-domain joined Windows Server Core 2025 server and managing the database from a remote management Windows client computer. Later in the video, I'll have a bonus showing how you can easily manage a standalone Windows Server Core instance. Since this will be a standalone instance of Windows Server Core with MSSQL Server installed, we need another system for which we can effectively manage it. We'll need the following: a server system running Windows Server Core 2019, 2022, or 2025, Microsoft SQL Server 2019 or 2022, a client system running Windows 10 or Windows 11 with Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS, Visual Studio with the data storage and processing workload, optional, VS Code with the SQL Server extension pack, optional. Both the server and the client must have properly configured network adapters that allow communication between the two. For detailed instructions on installing Windows Server Core, see my videos here. Yes, we can perform a SQL Server interactive installation in the same exact manner as you can on Windows Server with the desktop environment. Log in as a user with administrative rights. Type 15 to exit the server configuration utility sconfig. With the SQL Server media mounted, type setup.exe. Notice the error message. And this is where things get easy. Append this line.
/action equals install /wimode equals enable UI on server core
to setup.exe. And just like that, you can interactively install SQL Server on Windows Server Core. Not only can we set up SQL Server, but we're also going to use the interactive graphical interface to generate a .ini file that will allow for a quiet, unattended installation. Select your edition, acknowledge the license terms. You did read them, right? And select your update option. Check the warning status for Windows Firewall. We'll address the Windows Firewall warning later following the installation. Check or uncheck the Azure Extensions box as applicable. Select your features. However, be mindful that some are not compatible with Windows Server Core. Leave the instance root and shared feature directories at their default settings. Name your instance ID or continue with the default. For the server configuration page, select the accounts you want for the services. For a domain installation, a best practice is to use domain-based service accounts or group-managed service accounts. Since this is a standalone instance, we're going to leave the default local service accounts. For the database engine configuration page, add your current local account as an SQL Server administrator and add other local users if necessary. During setup, I tend to use mixed mode authentication, which we can change later. Under the Data Directories tab, I'm going to change the data root, database, log, and database location to other drives. The installer will create the folder structure if not already present. In the next section, I'll demonstrate how to use mounted folders. Under the Memory tab, we're selecting the recommended min and max memory parameters. If Analysis Services configuration was selected, add your current local account and add other local users if necessary. For this example, we'll leave the data directories at their default values. At Ready to Install, we now have a configuration.ini file that we can use for future unattended deployments. Copy this file to another location for future use. Proceed with the installation. Previously, we selected the D, E, and F drives for the database, log, and backup files, respectively. The D drive is a 400 gigabyte NTFS volume. The E drive is a 200 gigabyte NTFS volume, and the F drive is a 500 gigabyte NTFS volume. To simplify pathing and reduce the number of drive letters used, we can leverage mounted folders. First, we need to create the folder structure. To mount the folders, we use the add-partition access path commandlet. In this example, under the folder C:\MSSQL, we have the data directory mounted to the 400 gigabyte volume, the log directory mounted to the 200 gigabyte volume, and the backup directory mounted to the 500 gigabyte volume. Once the folders are created and mounted, we proceed with the SQL Server setup normally, specifying the folders for the data root, data, log, and backup directories. We can use the .ini file that the GUI created as a template for our unattended installation. However, there are a few things we need to change first to ensure a successful installation. We need to add this line.
I accept SQL Server license terms equals true.
We need to modify this line.
Action equals install.
And we need to comment out this line.
UI mode equals normal.
To install all supported features for Windows Server Core, modify the features line.
Features equals SQL Engine, full text, replication, ASIS con.
If using mixed mode authentication, add the line for the SQL SA password. Note that the password in the configuration file is in plain text. Protect accordingly. Modify other setting parameters as necessary for your environment. To silently install, use /Q along with the /configuration file parameter. To passively install, where you can view the progress, use the /QS parameter. To check for a successful installation, you can do any or all of the following while still logged into the Windows Server Core. Check to see if the MSSQL services are running by using the get-service commandlet. See installed applications with the get-package commandlet. Check for listening TCP port 1433 using get-net TCP connection. To address the Windows firewall warning during installation, we'll use the new-net firewall rule commandlet to allow inbound traffic over TCP port 1433. Valid entries for -profile are domain, private, any, or any combination separated by a comma. Optionally, use set-net firewall rule to enable the Windows firewall to allow ping responses, which are disabled by default. Apply the latest cumulative update for SQL Server. Verify the latest version number that was applied with the cumulative update. The primary tool for managing an SQL Server installation is the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. On a management client computer with SSMS installed, log into the database server using either Windows Authentication or SQL Authentication. Select either Optional for Database Encryption Method or check the Trust Server Certificate checkbox. Change the SA password if specified in an unattended configuration file. Or disable the SA account and enforce Windows Authentication mode if required. If doing development using Visual Studio, go to View, select Server Explorer, click the Connect to Database icon, and enter the necessary information. Select Optional for the database encryption method, or check the Trust Server Certificate checkbox. Optionally, select or enter a specific database. You can also use VS Code to connect to the database for development. Go to View and select Command Palette. Open MSSQL Add Connection. Enter the necessary information. Select Integrated to use Windows Authentication. When prompted, about the server certificate, click Enable Trust Server Certificate. Click the SQL Server icon on the left pane. As promised, I'm going to demonstrate an easy method for managing a Windows Server core installation. Install Windows Admin Center on the Windows Server core computer, accepting the default values. Although the port number will default to 443, I find it best in standalone cases like this to use a custom port number. Click Install. From the management system, open the browser and enter the IP and port number address of the server. At the Your Connection Isn't Private screen, click the Advanced button. Click the Continue to link. Enter credentials that are on the server core computer. Acknowledge the dialog box and allow the extensions to update. Click the server. The left pane contains all the extensions necessary for basic remote management of Windows Server Core. I hope you enjoyed this video, learned something new, and found it useful. If you have any feedback, corrections, or suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and pass it on to others. And I thank you for watching.